We've got another great show for you this week. We are very excited because we are going to be very music driven. From Nonpoint, we have Elijah. From Joetown, we have Joe Delaney. From Live Dead Girl, we have Molly Riken. So we've got a great set of music artists for you. But on top of that, we have the author, Kate Fagan, and she is going to be telling us all about women's basketball, its history and its relation to pop culture and just its future. So there's all kinds of great things. We have 3 musical artists and we have an author. So we are very excited and we're glad that you joined us again this week. Our guest today is Elias Soriano. He is with Nonpoint. We are excited to talk with him all about all the great things that are going on with his band now and throughout the summer. Elias, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So who are the current members of Nonpoint?
It is myself, Elias Soriano, Rob Rivera, Rashid Thomas, Adam Willozin, and Jason Zielstra.
Awesome. So did they all join at the same time or have they joined over different time periods?
Over different time periods. Rashid and Adam have been with us now 11 years. Jason is going on his 4th year with us. Nice.
So an interesting mix.
Yeah. It's been a great ride with these guys, especially recently with the addition of Jason. We're having some fun writing these new songs together, and I'm actually at a studio with my friend Brandon playing some new music.
Awesome. That's always a great way to spend the day.
Yeah.
So tell us about your new song, Heartless.
It's a little delve into the mind of the Tin Man character that we introduced in Ruthless. And it gives a little bit of, how his heart is feeling and why he feels the way he feels about, the Emerald City, basically.
So why did you decide to go with such a dark reimagining of the Tin Man?
It feels like dark times lately. Can't turn on the news without feeling a little bit of sense of confusion and chaos. And, when you're trying to navigate through all of that, you tend to take a different view on some stories. And different kinds of mindsets start to pour into your head. And, The Wizard of Oz has been a reoccurring theme and movie in my entire life, with it being my mother's favorite movie and me, watching it basically every Thanksgiving for, my entire childhood. It just seemed pertinent at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say same here. It's my mom and my mother-in-law's favorite movie, so much so that the mother-in-law named the cat Dorothy.
That's awesome.
So based on your music, I'm thinking that you are probably a fan of the Wheelers from Return to Oz.
The Wheelers? Actually, cool characters. I wouldn't say super fan. I just think, just Return to Oz isn't as fresh in my mind as all the other ones.
Oh, definitely. They're crazy intense, and they definitely got a unique feel to them. And the 2 movies, it'd be hard for the 2 movies to be more different from each other.
Yeah, really.
So audiences are captivated by your sound and your passionate performances. What is your favorite song to perform live?
Right now, Heartless. We're getting some pretty exciting reactions to that song in the live space, especially with the theme of the stage and everyone, enjoying the live show and its production right now is it's exciting to be a part of it from the audience perspective, because you really feel like you're in Oz.
Oh wow, that does sound awesome. Why is Nonpoint constantly pushing boundaries?
Say again?
Why are you constantly pushing boundaries?
Well, it's I guess a case of we've done it so many different ways for so many years. You have to push the boundaries and get outside of your comfort zone to find keep the gas going, and keep the tank full. It's fun to challenge yourself and to try new things, to explore new types of music and, new themes. And one of the things that we really have never done is, taken a look at a movie and drawn out feelings and characters and themes out of something like that. So it's been fun.
So how are you able to combine heavy metal, new metal, and hard rock?
We have a very big blender. Yeah, we got guys in the band that all have different tastes in music, and I feel like that's really what leads to that is everyone giving their likes and inspirations into their craft, and it usually ends up on the recordings.
People are saying that Nonpoint are one of the most exciting live acts in the industry. As an artist, how does that make you feel?
Great. Means I'm doing my job, because that's the comments that we want to hear. We enjoy being a live band, and we enjoy seeing people enjoy our show. And, we want to keep that part of our lives going.
How great has it been working with Chris Collier, the producer?
Oh, Chris is great. Chris is a lot of fun. He's got a very great perspective on the music and loves to dive into, the parts the same way that we really like to. He likes to get really detailed in every single part. And at this point in your career, you want to work with somebody that has that kind of attention to detail.
Where's the best place for our listeners to buy tickets for your shows?
At our site, nonpointstore.com, has a link to every single ticket, every VIP, and every show. So that's definitely the best place to get that stuff.
This is the part that amazes me. This is the thing that, to me, separates you from the other bands. I understand that there's a way listeners, by buying the right ticket, can gain access to watch the sound check, to get autographs before the show, take pictures, even get on the bus and influence the new music. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are playing old and new demos for the audience and our VIPs, and seeing really just the VIPs, and seeing what kind of reactions are coming from it, and also too seeing what they like and don't like, and getting their comments, and seeing if they are liking the direction, or think that maybe we should go in another direction. And taking that into the writing process, and hopefully crafting a song with them.
That is so awesome that you're giving fans such unprecedented access. I mean, shoot, I can't think of any other bands that would allow such things to go on, but you guys truly must care about your fans' input.
It's a great next step to the story.
Definitely. So let's see. Tell us about the other two acts that are going to be performing with you. I understand Blacktop Mojo and Sumo Psycho.
Yeah, Sumo Psycho and Blacktop Mojo, amazing live acts. I actually bring out Sky and Matt at the end of our set to perform two separate songs with me and the guys. It's a great show. I would say that this is probably the best reaction to opening acts on a bill that we've had in a very, very, very long time. So we're excited to have both of those bands out with us, and we're definitely going to do another leg with them, maybe even add a fourth band. But it's an unbelievable package. Got to get there early. Got to get there by doors. There's all sorts of visual eye candy spread throughout the club. All the bands are involved. The stage show is new. The set is you're in Oz basically. So it's a fun show to come to.
Sounds like an amazing, exciting experience. Just throwing this out there. The people of Ohio would love for you to come to Ohio, preferably Cincinnati, but we can deal with Columbus if that's the case.
There's already a second leg in the works, and Ohio is high on the list.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So it sounds like things are going great with your new single, Heartless, and it going great with your new tour. I mean, just all kinds of fun things going on with your band. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners find out more about you?
Nonpointstore.com sends you anywhere that you want to go. We have Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Just type in Nonpoint, and we're going to be at the top of the list.
Sounds great. Thank you for joining us, Elijah.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Thank you. The Dreamhouse Nation loves it when we give out our email address, and that is dreamhousenation@gmail.com. That's dreamhousenation@gmail.com. Right in to win tickets. We are giving away some of the best tickets of the summer. We're giving away tickets to the Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 25th through May 28th. Tool, Godsmack, Avenged Sevenfolds, Queens of the Stone Age, Kiss, Rob Zombie, Foo Fighters, the Deftones. It is going to be an amazing event. Right into dreamhousenation@gmail.com to be eligible to win tickets to this huge event. So definitely don't miss out. Sonic Temple, May 25th through the 28th, Columbus, Ohio, historic Crew Stadium. Right in. Enjoy. Our guest today is Joe Delaney from Joetown. We're excited to talk with him all about his new single, Long Way to the Top, If You Want to Rock and Roll, and about all the great things that are going around St. Paddy's Day. Joe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
When did you first become dedicated to music?
Pretty early. I'd say I started playing guitar 8 or 9, and was in and out of it a little with sports and stuff like that. But by the time I hit my teen years, I was pretty much all in.
So how did Joetown get started?
Well, Joetown got started, like a lot of bands. I'd bounced around in a bunch of bands playing guitar, and Joetown really came out of me stepping up to be a front man and a singer. And I was already producing and recording bands at that point. So I had a studio called Joetown, and because of that, people just kept calling me Joetown so much that it kind of stuck as a moniker and band name and everything. So that's kind of where it was born, and definitely a take off the Motown thing. So
excellent. You read my mind, because that was going to be the next thing I was going to ask you. Just that town part made me feel kind of like Motown was somehow involved.
Absolutely. The Motown thing was from a recording level and stuff like that. I grew up on a lot of that music. My mom had stacks of Motown and stack singles all everywhere. So I was kind of weaned on that stuff. So when I really got professional into recording, it was kind of the inspiration. So it was cool.
So who inspired you to combine bagpipes and rock and roll?
Bagpipes and rock and roll. I got to give it to both AC/DC and just growing up in an Irish family where, like, you go to some things, whether it's a family thing or you go to a wedding or a funeral or God knows, a parade or whatever, and that instrument always seemed to be around. And when I got Kerry Galarney in the band, we had been friends for decades, but when he joined the band, I really got him in the band because he's such a sick guitar player, and I knew I'd been a trio most of the time to that point. I knew I could hand off a lot of duties to him and focus on vocals and being a front man a little more, but he had really come along with the bagpipes, and we started doing It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll. It's like kind of as a remake in sets, and and he had done some stuff with other projects doing original bagpipe music, and it kind of just melded together, and grew from just doing the AC/DC tune because it absolutely slays live every night we do it, and then letting it grow into doing original songs that hard rock tunes with the bagpipes woven in.
Nice. How great is it working with Kerry?
It's pretty great. I mean, he's an outstanding musician. And so he makes a lot of the things that I do easy because, I'm a little more of the remedial Chuck Berry aspect of rock and roll, and the really classic rock. And his background goes into a lot of more technical stuff with metal and everything else. So from a proficiency standpoint, if I have an idea on something, it's usually super easy for him. Same with the rest of the guys in the band. I mean, they all have abilities well beyond the style of songs I write, which makes things easy.
So why is AC/DC one of the greatest bands of all time?
AC/DC. Well, to me, it's the spirit of it. I mean, the simplicity and the spirit of it. It's simple and to the point. So that has a great reach, and the spirit of it. And Bon Scott talks about this early on and stuff like that. It's got the true early rock and roll spirit, like the architects of rock and roll. I mean, when I listen to AC/DC, especially the early stuff, I hear Little Richard and Chuck Berry and all those things, like really, obviously in the inspiration of what it is. And it just comes across with that, reckless abandoned spirit. And I think that spirit of rock and roll, when it comes across with honesty and integrity, I think people always respond to that.
Speaking of spirit, you captured the spirit of AC/DC with your song, It's a Long Way to the Top, because I feel it's very authentic and very respectful of the original. Was that intentional?
That was intentional. We had been playing it live for a long time, and it always went over well. And eventually, we were like, we gotta, we should probably just record this. We do it on the show. And but the big thing was to not to do a heavied up version of it, not to do a big interpretation, but to really just get down on what it's about. And to me, it was, the spirit of the lyrics and what it's about, and how basically every musician that's taken any knocks and jumped in a van and gone and done it can relate to. So when I sing it and when we play it, we're playing it from a place of taking those hard knocks of being out there doing it. And I think that's the thing that hopefully comes across.
Have you ever considered collaborating with, say, somebody like Sheamus from the WWE or the Highlanders or Hornswoggle, somebody like that, kind of interesting but yet Irish from your, maybe a future music video or something?
Yeah, I'd love to do collaborations with more people who kind of see what we're doing with this, with the kind of hybrid of the instruments. I'd love to do that. Hopefully the attention we're getting from this will open up some of those doors.
Do you know if Kerry knows the Green Hills of the Tuileries?
He probably does. He knows so many of the standards, and I can't keep track of them all. I mean, I remember the Irish standards and stuff just from, my dad and things like that when I was younger. But I mean, he knows a big part of the book. He was in a few major marching troops of pipes, so he's done it. He is the expert in that regard more than me. I mean, For me, I kind of hang in the level of knowing Clancy Brothers tunes as far as the Irish stuff. So
Nice.
I'm a total pedestrian compared to him.
That's all good. What is it like to attend a live performance of Joetown?
It's exciting. Number one, it's exciting because I'm a very active frontman, and we are a very energetic band. So it's definitely not, four guys with cement shoes stuck to the stage. The other side of what we've been doing is we've been doing a lot of civic events, public events, and parades and things like that. So a lot of our gigs over the past few years, the best ones have been, on a truck going through this or that city and for whatever event, and playing tunes, mobile, going through the streets, and we love that because it's all ages, and it's just, to me, it's just awesome to see like a whole bunch of grade school kids just dancing and going sick because a rock band goes by and comes by with a PA and rocking out AC/DC and original tunes and stuff like that. When I see like a bunch of little kids, like they just immediately get fired up. I just, in my soul, I know that rock and roll, no matter, even though it has ups and downs, rock and roll will live forever because when you see kids react like that, it's something ingrained pretty deep.
So the music video is pretty accurate to real life, it sounds like, where, you're driving through an event.
Yeah, it's from a few different events last year. We grabbed the footage, and that's us on a truck going, St. Patrick's Day parades, some towns in our area that have had, big tricentennial celebrations and other, just other events like that. So, the video is that. And what's kind of cool, because it kind of inspired us to finally record It's a Long Way to the Top, because the original video from AC/DC way, way, way back was them on a truck going through Melbourne, Australia. And we started doing these events, and we play the song almost every time. So it was like, we should just kind of do it. It'd be a good kind of homage to the band, and we're big enough fans to know what it's about. So we decided to take the plunge, and we're happy that people have really responded well to it. I think tackling something like a beloved AC/DC song, if for whatever reason we didn't hit the mark, I think people would be shredding us.
So why do the pipes inspire the crowd to go so mental?
I've talked to Carrie about this a lot. I mean, we think it's primal because it's such a primal instrument, and it was basically an instrument an instrument for war. So I think there's something in the DNA of Western culture that you hear those things and it's like a war cry. So it just hits some unknown internal trigger that like you hear those things and you're just like somehow supposed to go sick.
Definitely. I was going to say it's one of those songs and one of those things that just inspire a crowd and is quite exciting. So obviously that is one of your favorite songs to perform live. Do you have any other favorite songs to perform live?
For other tunes live, I mean, we do mostly originals from the catalog, but we do love throwing in the remakes like that here and there. So as far as the remake type stuff, I would say that another tune that goes over really well live, I'm a huge Deep Purple fan, and we do a version of Space Truckin' that everybody always loves because it's a tune that you don't really hear people do ever, and it's exciting and great live. So if there was another song from another band that we like doing that goes over well, I would say Space Truckin' by Deep Purple.
Nice. We recently had Joe Lynn Turner on the show, and yeah, he was remarkable with his new album. So there's always new great music out there, and it sounds like you're definitely contributing to that.
Yeah, try to. I've been trying to release, five, 6 singles a year with video. Been doing singles more than records the past few years, but it's what keeps us going and keeps us ticking is the inspiration to just keep writing new songs and putting it out there.
Definitely. The one I was really impressed with was Freight Train. I think that is a phenomenal song that you've put out there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that came out last year, and that was pretty awesome. That was a culmination of being stuck in with COVID a little bit. So that was recorded with some well-known close friends of mine, a guy named Matt Starr, who plays with Ace Frehley and Mr. Big, and another guy, well-renowned shredder, Jimmy Bell, does the solo. So that was I love that tune, and that was we do that one every night, and it was it was a different thing because it came out of it was a good thing that came out of all the COVID stuff. I mean, everybody was stuck home, but I was lucky enough to have enough high-end friend musicians out there with their own studios that I was able to finish them.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say that is one of the things that I have heard from artists that fortunately there was some good creativity out of all that nonsense over the last couple of years, that they were able to kind of crack down and focus on their art.
Yeah, I was just in a situation where I was like, oh my God, I can't play gigs. I got to do something. I can't really book a session in the studio. It's difficult to get together with people. And then I had a tune and sent a demo around to everybody, got the tracks and did it. And it kind of kept me sane in the whole thing.
So Joe, before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where's the best way to learn more about Joetown?
Best way and easiest way is just to go to joetown.com, Joetown. Go there, and there's, whatever our latest release is right up front on the first page to watch the video and check it out. And then there's links at the top to all of our social media, Facebook. You can go to the YouTube channel from there. You can go to our store to buy merch and music. So if you go to joetown.com, you can get to everything we offer.
Sounds great. It has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
All right. Thank you so much, Jay.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival is back at historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, with the Foo Fighters, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, Kiss, plus Rob Zombie, Deftones, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, and more. Memorial Day weekend. Passes are on sale now at sonictemplefestival.com for only $10 down.
Our guest today is Molly Rennick. She is from Living Dead Girl, and we're excited about having her on the show. We're going to talk all about her upcoming performance Sunday, March 26th, Legends Bar and Venue in Cincinnati, Ohio. Molly, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, how much are tickets for the big show?
I believe they are $12 at the door.
Hey, that ain't bad at all. Shoot, that's a heck of a fun night for only $12. And then, who is the other band or artist performing with you?
Marlene Mendoza.
Excellent. So so you're getting two great artists for only $12. You can't go wrong with that.
Yes, plus local openers as well.
Excellent. And then I understand you offer a meet and greet option.
We do, yes.
Oh, cool. How much is that?
That is $40. It includes a professional digital photo taken by a photographer, a Polaroid photo that we all sign, and a VIP lanyard. And you also get into the venue a little earlier than everyone else.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool. So when did you first fall in love with music?
Honestly, I've loved music my entire life. I don't remember a point when I wasn't obsessed with it. Like when I was like 4 years old, I used to sing along to every single song. Like it was my mission to learn the lyrics to every single song and like come up with little dance choreography for them. So I've just loved music my entire childhood.
That is awesome. So you practice singing in front of your stuffed animals?
Yeah, I actually made them little instruments out of cardboard and pretended they were my band when I was like 7 years old.
Oh, that's so cute. So tell us a little bit about your creation process. How do you come up with your songs, and how do you come up with, the outfits, all that stuff that goes into your performances?
I find if I try to force anything creative, nothing's going to come out of it. Like if I'm like, okay, time to brainstorm this, then I just like lock myself in a corner, like mentally, like there's nothing happening if I try to force something. But creativity always comes to me at the most random spurts, and that's when I need to just roll with it. Like my notes section on my phone is just like loaded with lyrics and ideas. But like if I sit down and say, okay, today I'm writing a song, it's probably not happening. But if I don't force it, things just pop up in my brain 24/7. I'm constantly taking down notes. Like I have random piece of paper all over my house, just like full of random Living Dead Girl ideas that just came out of nowhere.
Nice. So you let the muses come to you, it sounds like.
Yeah, they just pop up.
Nice. How did Living Dead Girl get started back in 2017?
We got started when I finally found enough people around my hometown who were musicians in the same genre as myself, and we found a guy with a studio in his living room, and we would go over to his house and we recorded tons of demos. We made like 6 or 7 songs, and we started playing some live shows. And then finally I decided to like go even bigger than that, and I found like an actual, like not an actual producer. I'm not insulting my friend who did it as a hobby, but you know what I mean? Like I found Mitchell Marlowe, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go take these demos that we made. I want to go polish them up. So I don't think it ever would have become as serious if I had just always played music in my living room. Like I needed that push to go do it seriously.
I know what you mean. Sometimes it's all about taking it to the next level, and it's all about meeting the right folks to be able to do that. Tell us about your band. Who are the members of Living Dead Girl?
We have the only other original member is Jordan Storing. He's our bassist. He's been here since day one. And then we have our guitarist, Johnny Law, and our drummer is my fiance, Steve Hayning.
Oh, cool. So kind of a family thing.
Yeah.
Nice. And then I am not going to lie to you. I got to know if that's his real name or he made that up. Johnny Law. That is an awesome name.
That is his real name.
Wow. I was going to say his parents are awesome. How are you able to uniquely combine goth with heavy metal?
I think the fact that we draw from a lot of different influences is what makes our unique sound. I never just listen to one type of music or even one subgenre of metal or of rock. I always listen to such a wide range of different artists, different genres, even different eras, like different, like older music and newer music. And I think when you take influence from a lot of different things and combine them, then you get something a lot more unique than if I was someone who's super strict about, oh, it has to be this exact subgenre. Whereas when you get more playful with it, more creative, and are like, I want it to be like 50 genres rolled into one, then you're going to get a more distinct sound.
Exactly. It's got a nicer blend to it when you mix in a wider variety of influences, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you able to have such an amazing vocal range?
Vocal range, that came from years and years and years of practice and training. And then the second I discovered I could scream, I was like, okay, that's going to be my new signature thing. I got to use that. And then there's just such a fine art of balance of, okay, we got to keep the singing and the screaming both strong, both healthy, both up to like keeping my throat really strong and really good. So I have like a huge like list of vocal warm-ups and exercises that I do every single day, even when we're not on tour. Like I'm not allowed to drink cold water, and I'm not allowed to do this and that. I worked with the vocal coach, Jamie Bendera, over the past like 6 months, and that was a really huge game changer for me. But now I'm on like a very strict regimen of like throat care.
Nice. I was going to say, it's always good to be proactive with your health. So why do you incorporate high-pitched groans, harsh barks, growling, into your music?
I always just kind of pick which parts I feel like need which type of vocal style. Like, if I want the part to be like really catchy and like a really like good radio hook, then I'm like, okay, obviously this needs to be more clean vocals than screaming. But there are certain lines that I just want them to hit harder. I want to accentuate them. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be a scream. And then when I step up to the mic, I kind of just decide in the moment in the studio which kind of scream we're going to get. I'm like, is this going to be like a high pitched shriek, or is it going to be like a more low growl? And I kind of just do whatever feels right at the time and what feels natural. And then when I listen back to the song, I'm like deciding if that was the right type of scream to do or not. I just kind of like wing it as I go along.
You mentioned Mitch Marlowe. How impactful has he been on your career?
He definitely helped a lot because I had worked with several different producers before him, and I wasn't quite sure what the outcome was going to be yet. Like, I was really experimenting myself and didn't really know what I wanted until it existed. So when I worked with him and I described what I was going for, I was explaining to him, I don't want to be too heavy, but I don't want to be too poppy. It's got to be like a perfect 50-50 mix of the two. He really took my vision and understood it. So it was really great to work with him because he listened to me and let me have my creative control. He wasn't someone that like did his own thing. He like allowed me to have my own say and my own input, but he really took the demos that we went to him with and just polished them up.
Nice. You have praised from several great publications. Do you have any of those articles framed?
I do. I have my Hustler article framed on my wall, as well as the first magazine cover I was ever on the cover of. It was Underground Nation. That's framed as well.
Awesome. How do your album Exorcism and Not That Innocent compare to each other?
They're very different just in the fact that Exorcism is originals and Not That Innocent is covers, but the sound there is still the same Living Dead Girl sound you would expect. Even with the covers, it still sounds like Living Dead Girl songs. So like when it comes to like, like that signature scream that we've been talking about, or like the style of the clean vocals and like the downtuned riffs and everything, they're the same on both albums. So even though the second one aren't songs we wrote, we did still have to rearrange them and rework them to match Exorcism and to still sound like the sound that people expect from Living Dead Girl. So they're both really playful. They're both really upbeat. They're both heavy, but still fun. So even if you listen to like from Exorcism straight into Not That Innocent, a lot of people told us they didn't even realize Not That Innocent was covers at first.
Oh, wow. That's saying a lot. Yeah, because I was going to say you've incorporated a lot of great songs from the history of pop into your genre, which is a dramatic difference. Why does Not That Innocent feel like a love letter to the iconic female artists that you grew up emulating and idolizing?
I described it as a love letter because I felt like, how like they say imitation is like the highest form of flattery. I feel like when you do a cover of someone's song, it's not you thinking like, oh, I can do this better or let me redo this. It's like, let me honor the art that you created and like show you how much I love it by playing it myself. Like, I think it's like a huge flattery thing. Like, even when people have posted videos of them playing on guitar or singing a Living Dead Girl song, like that is the hugest compliment to me. I don't know if hugest is the word, but it is now. That is the biggest compliment to me as an artist. So when I took these songs and decided to do a cover with them, I felt like it was a tribute to those artists and those songs. Like, thank you for being impactful in my music career. Here's my version of your song.
Nice. Have you got to meet any of those artists?
I have met Avril Lavigne. I haven't met the other four, though.
Who are some of the iconic female artists that inspire you?
Obviously, Avril Lavigne, just said her. Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm is a huge inspiration of mine. Taylor Momsen from The Pretty Reckless. I always loved Pink when I was growing up. I loved that she did pop music, but was still edgy and still, like a rocker chick, even though her music was pop music. A newer discovery of mine is Lilith Star. Her album just dropped last year, and I've been obsessed with it ever since. She's inspired me a lot too in this past year. I would say those are my top 5.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say that's a great top 5. I mean, those are some remarkable artists that have done some great things over the years. With Avril being from Canada and you being from Canada, do you feel any stronger connection because of that?
Yeah, I definitely looked up to her even more so because of that, because she's from a really tiny town in Ontario, about an hour away from my hometown. So even when I was like a child looking up to her, I thought it's so cool to see someone who came up with the same upbringing as me. It's not like she was born in Los Angeles and had rich parents and industry connections and that's how she got famous. It's like, no, she grew up before the internet existed in a small town in Canada, and she still made it to huge superstar status. So that itself always really inspired me, because I was like, if she can do it, that just says that if we all work hard enough, we can do it too.
Definitely. So do you have any new projects or anything coming out in the near future?
We did just shoot a music video last week for a new unreleased single that we will be putting out later this year. And I do plan on getting back in the studio to start working on a second full-length album soon. Hopefully the end of this year, once we're done touring for the year, we're going to start working on basically the next exorcism.
Oh, nice. And we're excited about the touring. Sunday, March 26th, Legends Bar and Venue in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be you. And then who is the other artist?
Marlene Mendoza.
Awesome. So it sounds like it's going to be a great event. Sounds like our listeners should get tickets in advance if they can. And if not, they can always get them at the door. So there's always options. And then, of course, for the lucky few, there's that meet and greet option. So there's a lot of really great things going on with Living Dead Girl. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where could we find out more about you and your band?
We have an official website, livingdeadgirl.ca, as well as on social medias. We've got Facebook, Living Dead Girl Band, Instagram, Living Dead Girl Official, and Twitter, LDG Band Official.
That is awesome. Molly, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you so much.
The Dreamhouse Nation loves it when we give out our email address, and that is dreamhousenation@gmail.com. That's dreamhousenation@gmail.com. Right in to win tickets. We are giving away some of the best tickets of the summer. We're giving away tickets to the Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 25th through May 28th. Tool, Godsmack, Avenged Sevenfold, Queens of the Stone Age, Kiss, Rob Zombie, Foo Fighters, the Deftones. It is going to be an amazing event. Right into dreamhousenation@gmail.com to be eligible to win tickets to this huge event. So definitely don't miss out. Sonic Temple, May 25th through the 28th, Columbus, Ohio, historic Crew Stadium. Right in. Enjoy. Our guest today, Kate Fagan, is the author of Hoop Muse, an insider's guide into pop culture and the women's game of basketball. Kate, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
When did you fall in love with basketball?
Going way back. My dad, actually, he played college ball and he played professionally overseas. And so he was playing pickup games 5 nights a week when I was a little kid, and I would tag along and hang out in the bleachers until I was old enough to kind of pop onto the court and shoot between games and fall in love with it. So it would be impossible to put an age, but let's say 5. This is my first memory of holding a basketball.
Nice. So it's a family tradition.
Yes, it is definitely the family game in our household.
So who did you play for?
Well, I grew up in upstate New York, around the Albany, New York area. And I went to school and played basketball in college at the University of Colorado in Boulder. And then when I was done there, I was actually there 5 years because I redshirted. Then I played a season in Ireland and 2 seasons with a pro team in a league that's now defunct called the NWBL. And when I was done playing, I got into sports journalism. But it was my basketball career that really helped me fall in love with sports and has really infused my career since as well.
Awesome. Tell us about the amazing job Sophie Cheng did illustrating the book and bringing the stories to life.
Well, from the outset in creating this book about the history of the women's game, we knew we wanted to make it really vibrant and colorful and joyful. And Sophia Chang is in the illustration world really well known and has worked with a lot of big companies, whether it's like Topps Trading Cards and other places. And she just creates really beautiful illustrations that bring out the joy of sports. And so she was our number one pick right from the beginning. And she signed on to the book. And you can see just from, the very bright turquoise cover of the book and all the way throughout. I mean, we had other artists in the book as well, but Sophia was really the dominant force and vision for the visual aspect of the book. And she just made it such a beautiful, bright, artistic book.
I was really impressed with how you were able to make a time travel book, but keep it nonfiction.
I know, it's pretty crazy, right? But I mean, it is illustrated, so I guess you are on board realizing that everything is coming from our imagination to begin with. But yes, we did have an element of time travel where we take you to the future. At the outset of the book, we envision a future in 2072, the 75th anniversary of the WNBA. We introduce you to a player, Jacqueline Jones, who's the most famous player of that future era. And she ends up kind of being your sidekick on taking you back through the history of this game.
Nice. So who are some of the Hoops muses?
Well, there's so many. I think there are the women who, if you even casually follow women's basketball, they might be names whether it's Pat Summitt, the legendary coach at the University of Tennessee, or Nancy Lieberman Klein, who played for Old Dominion, or Cheryl Miller, the sister of Reggie Miller, who played at the University of Southern California. I mean, those are all women who make appearances in the book, and we tell you stories about them. But where the real richness, in my mind, of Hoop Muses comes in is introducing you to certain teams and women and stories in pockets of time that these women you may never have heard of, whether it's the Fort Shaw team who performed and they played at the World's Fair in 1904 in St. Louis, a Native American team that really highlights the American history of that era, or these barnstorming clubs, very much akin to what we now know as the Harlem Globetrotters, teams very much like that, kind of who had a gimmick and sold themselves on the open road, stopping in small towns. Like, women were part of barnstorming clubs as well. There's different parts of history that hasn't necessarily survived to present day. That was really fun to uncover and introduce people to.
And of course, I would say right now is the perfect time for it, with it being March.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I mean, we're doing this on March 8th, and it's International Women's Day, and also March is Women's History Month. And so, that alongside March Madness, just, basketball tournament in the basketball world, March felt like the perfect time to release this book.
So most people think the history of women's basketball is very short. However, it's a lot longer than most people think. Please share with us one of those things that fans of the sport of basketball might not know, but should.
I mean, I think that's exactly right, is that basketball has been played by women almost from the moment it was invented. So the story goes that James Naismith invented it in Springfield, and right down the road. So, and he put an article in a YMCA publication, and right down the road at Smith College, an all women's college, there was a woman named Senda Berenson who taught phys ed there. And she read a copy of this YMCA publication about this new game that had been developed it was developed for boys, because in the winter months they were trapped inside. And so James Naismith was tasked with inventing a game that was less physical than football, that could be played indoors. And so immediately it lent itself to women playing it, because by design it was supposed to be less physical. So, and the game spreads like wildfire. I mean, it's on the West Coast within just a couple years. And I share that because I think the history of women's basketball, many people sort of tie it to 1972 when Title IX was passed, and that is certainly a key moment in the history of the game. But everywhere you looked, whether it was like rural Iowa or Black Chicago in the 1930s, women were playing, and really interesting, rich stories about how their teams came to be and who helped support them and also like why they stopped. I mean, all of that was so rich with history. You know, the barnstorming clubs, you can almost trace their demise to the advent of television, because there wasn't the need necessarily for local entertainment the way there was previously, the local entertainment being a barnstorming club coming through and playing at the local high school gym. So it's such a rich history, and every year in existence, even though there were decades where at the college level it was deemed unladylike, or there were interruptions into it being played universally, but it was always being played somewhere.
You touched on Title IX. How big of an impact did Title IX have on sports?
It'd be impossible to overstate its impact, especially for the women's game, right? So it passes in 1972, and as most people know, it's a legislation that says if you get government funding, you have to use it equally, both for men and women. And it was mostly an academic bill, but immediately the ramifications on college sports in particular were clear. And the legacy of Title IX and the story of its implementation isn't as linear as one would expect. It's not like Title IX was passed and then everybody agreed, sure, we're going to equally fund these sports. There's a decade where the NCAA, which at that time only governed men's sports, spent millions of dollars on legal fees attempting to overturn Title IX because they didn't want to have to share resources with women. And once the NCAA realizes that they can't overturn Title IX in the courts and that it's solidified, they then go on to decide that they want to govern women's sports. And so you see from 1982 onward that the NCAA governs and runs championships for women's sports, but they never actually get the equal funding. I mean, you can read USA Today did a great expose last year on the 50th anniversary of Title IX, showing that really women at best are getting 30 to 33% of these budgets. And so there's a very complicated dynamic history when it comes to Title IX, but it did take budgets from negligible, right? The days of Pat Summitt, the Tennessee coach, washing her team's uniforms. So it took a budget that was negligible to at least 33%, but it's always been something that women have had to fight to even gain some semblance of equality in that landscape.
Okay, so there's been improvements, but there's still more that needs to happen, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's been improvements. I don't think Title IX is something that at this point we're going to be able to ever actually get to the letter of the law what was supposed to happen. But I think women's sports is kind of beyond that piece of like, look, we need a law to tell people to support us. Like, we're in a moment now where female athletes in women's sports, they're standing on their own 2 feet. Like, ratings are higher than ever. Social engagement is higher than ever. The investment from companies is shifting more than it's ever shifted. So I think we're kind of past saying, let's go back and make Title IX stronger, and saying like, look, this isn't a charity. People are starting to actually see the value of it now as a space in the sports world that has been long underfunded, and now trying to realize, in the same way we have capitalized on men's sports at every turn, that there is an opportunity to be had in women's sports.
With the book being about women's basketball and pop culture, where are some of those crossroads between the two?
Well, I think there's, especially in the last couple of years, a huge crossroad has been the world of fashion. You can now see like GQ Sports has, an Instagram handle where they're putting out pictures of athletes walking into the arena before games. And a lot of times that will include WNBA athletes or female soccer stars. So fashion is a huge crossroad. And in the book, in Hoop Muses, we also try to tell an alternate history of some of those crossroads that didn't exist during previous generations, but what if they had? We created movie posters reimagining if White Men Can't Jump had been, an all-female cast, or if the Spike Lee movie He Got Game had been She Got Game, or Space Jam, right? We have a Space Jam poster starring Asia Wilson, who's a WNBA star. So, but you're starting to see now that pop culture of like sneakers, fashion, movies, music, a lot of that is starting to cross into women's sports in ways that we haven't seen, publicly before. Of course, that culture was always there, but now it's more front and center.
I thought was interesting is you had WNBA Jam. How great is it that NBA 2K has the option for WNBA teams?
Yeah, I mean it's all stuff. It's all small moves like this where a lot of kids are introduced to who NBA stars are through playing video games. So then, and you can easily imagine that if you're playing a video game with all these characters and then that night the Knicks are playing the Lakers, you're like, oh yeah, that's somebody I play in the video game. And so it's this story and character that you already understand. And so for women to be included on that, it's the same benefit for them, which is that, if these characters are able to be played within a video game, you might be more likely to watch them when their games are on TV. And so there's sort of a downstream effect as well as not just the women themselves probably being given some spotlight and some money to be a part of those video games, but also the long-term effect on who engages with your games going forward because of having played them as a kid or even as when they're older.
So instead of adding soccer, I'm thinking the TBT should have added a women's basketball tournament. What do you think?
What's TBT? What is it?
The basketball tournament. It's a summer basketball tournament. It's a lot of alumni teams. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a big cash prize at the end, right?
Yeah, like $1 or $2 million for the team that wins, but the teams that don't win get nothing. It's crazy.
Yes, I have tuned into that. I just didn't know the acronym. No, I mean, it's what's so interesting about the basketball tournament is, in other leagues, the stake is either a gold medal or a trophy, right? Like the NBA stakes are the Larry O'Brien trophy and winning an NBA championship. But in the basketball tournament, it's pretty clear stake, right? These guys are playing for money, which, as we know in this betting culture of like DraftKings and that adding money to the equation always ups the heart rate and the stakes. And so it's a perfect model for women's sports because a lot of times people agreeing that like a Major League Baseball title or an NBA title mattering, right? Having that stake takes time. It takes history. And that is not something women's sports has always been afforded because at various points their leagues have been shut down or there hasn't been enough investment. So something like the basketball tournament would be perfect, right? You introduce a couple $1 million and that's a stake everybody can understand.
Definitely. So I think it sounds like there's a real bright future for 2072 and hopefully even sooner than that. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners read more of your work?
Well, they can get Hoop Muses, wherever they buy their books. And I am on Instagram at Kate Fagan 3 and same as Twitter at Kate Fagan 3. So you can follow me there and pick up Hoop Muses, anywhere you shop.
Awesome. Kate, it has been a pleasure.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival is back
at
historic Blue Stadium in Columbus, Ohio with the Foo Fighters, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, Kiss, plus Rob Zombie, Deftones, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, and more. Memorial Day weekend. Passes are on sale now at SonicTempleFestival.com for only $10 down.